Good morning to the former President of the Supreme Court, retired Chief Justice Asher Gunis, to the Dean of the Faculty of Law, host, and old school friend of mine, Professor Gadi Barzilai, to my friend, the initiator of this conference, who invited me and my law firm, Dr. Ariel Flavian, to the conference co-convener, to the one and only Dr. Rabia Assi, to the colleagues who gave a hand, law firms Herzog Fuchs Neeman, Fisher Bachar Chen Wall Orion, Perlman and Corporation, S. Friedman and Hatzlacha Movement, to our overseas guests from Belgium, Hong Kong, the US, Germany, Britain, and the last but not least, our Israeli colleagues, we extend our warm welcome. These days are scared by a wave of waging senseless terrorism, not just in the Middle East, but throughout the free world. Not only that it threatens human existence, but it also annihilates the basic values of the rule of law and the principle of democracy and humanism. While terrorism is raging, it is beyond comprehension why there are attempts to boycott Israel academic institutions alongside global threats to curb academic freedom by political movements. In those troubled times, I see special importance to this conference for the following reasons. First and foremost, this conference, by its mere existence, an international professional meeting that defies those attempts. Second, the venue of this conference here at Haifa University Faculty of Law is significant and symbolic, as this Faculty of Law carries the banner of multiculturalism, tolerance, brotherhood, and promotes coexistent value in legal clinics in various social domains. The theme of this conference, class action, is a relatively new field that is evolving and dynamic, reflecting social and public perspectives which changes with the time and place around the globe. Class action is a social and economic instrument for the enforcement of law to decrease gaps, thus attaining balance between economic and governmental powers and the individual citizens, and an instrument which is also used to increase the efficacy of judicial proceedings. Many court decisions and academic publications have been written on the subject. Yet, the last word has not been spoken on the right balance between the instrument of class actions and the fear of its abuse by individuals and sometimes even by lawyers, and the possible threat it carries to public funds. It seems that the pendulum effect also applies here and is still swinging. In the next 2 days, we will speak and hear thoughts, ideas, insight, and analysis on those subjects by lawyers as well as academia, and I hope that each of us will come out with at least one new insight. It is my pleasure to invite the host dean, Professor Gadi Barzilai, who followed Dr. Flaviana's idea and made this conference happen. Professor Barzilai combined studies in political science and international relations, public administration, history, and Judaism with the study of law. Professor Barzilai received his training in leading universities in Israel and in the United States, to mention only few: the Hebrew University, Tel Aviv University, Yale, University of Michigan, Harvard, Columbia, and Oxford. Professor Barzilai sees the main challenge in understanding the court in politics and understanding the politics in law as inseparable areas of human activity in the framework of political power. Please, Professor Gadi Barzilai.
Thanks very much, Heli, and good morning, everybody, and special thanks to our guests from overseas. We are looking forward to a very exciting conference, and let me first of all acknowledge Advocate Dr. Ariel Flavian and Dr. Rabbi Asi from the Faculty of Law at University of Haifa for actually visioning and organizing the academic content of this conference, which is really assembling the best experts in Israel and overseas in the area of class action, ADR, ODR, and all the fascinating topics that we are going to enjoy in the next few days. I also would like to mention Lily Faye Bishor for being responsible for the administrative organization of this conference. As Heli mentioned, first of all, we have a very nice coalition of several law offices that were mentioned previously, and without the help of those law offices, we couldn't really make this event happening. And again, I would like to express my deep thanks for all the law offices, and to Atzlacha, the NGO who was joining us in this support of this important conference about collective redress, class action, and ADR. As was mentioned before, and I would like to, as a layman in the field of class action, I think that this is a fascinating topic because this topic really touches upon issues in liberal jurisprudence, the ability of liberal jurisprudence to address also marginalized communities, and actually the Israeli law is mentioning it quite expressively, that one of the purposes, whether it's in practice the case or not, we are going to learn in the next few days, but the law is mentioning the issue of groups and communities that may need public address through the judicial system. And obviously, for me as a layman in the field of class action, I'm looking forward to learn much more about the social ramification and the political repercussions of this phenomena of class action, which cannot be easily reconciled with some of the elements, the classical elements of liberal theory and liberal jurisprudence. And we are very honored to have the consent of Chief Justice, the former president of the Israeli Supreme Court, Dr. Asher Grunis, who is a very prominent justice in many fields of law, in obviously administrative law, constitutional law, criminal law, civil law, procedures. He just gave a fascinating lecture about 6 weeks ago in our faculty about the reform in civil procedures. And I think that Chief Justice Grunis, is always very keen and very unique in his special voice. There are some justices that you may say they are joining the majority opinion, which is not the case of Justice Grunis, who always, even when he was a president, was keeping his own unique legal voice, and he's also busy after becoming a retired president. He is now leading the National Committee for the selection of the Attorney General, and actually quite promptly after his lecture today, he has to head this important committee, which is going basically to recommend about the main candidates, one of which is going to be the next Attorney General. Thanks very much, President Grunis, for joining us, and we are looking forward to your lecture.